Good evening, chat, and welcome in to this week's Scrim School ScrimCast. I am your host, Bobby Sox. I do PvP things average at best, but the reason why we host this is because we get people way better than me on here to talk about the game. Talk about how to get better, talk about how to improve, talk about how to move, talk about how to shoot, and I am beyond stoked about the guests that we have tonight. These are two people that I have looked up to for a very long time. Arguably one of the best hunters and arguably one of the best titans in the game right now, Mr. Olmanmakowski and Mr. Cerridius. Let's unmute them and let's get it. If you are new to a ScrimCast, the way this works is what we do here is we talk about the game for the first hour or so, and then after that, we switch over to a practical portion. We bring people in from the community to play, to game with the guests of the week, and learn from them. So, let's do some intros. Jimmy, Hunter, what up, gentlemen? You guys are on mute.
Guardian.
I think Jimmy is still on mute.
It was not letting me unmute. What the hell?
There we go. Good evening. How are you guys?
Hello, how y'all doing?
I'm doing fantastic.
All right, so the way this works, you guys, we start this out with an intro. Who are you? What do you do? Tell me good things. How do we get into this? What got you into gaming, and what got you to the point you're at now?
Jimmy, go first, Hunter? Oh shit, me first.
Oh, Jimmy, you go first. I'm nervous.
Oh,
you take this one.
Hold up. I just realized I'm on the wrong screen again. I've only done that twice now in the last 3 weeks. Give me a sec. There we go. Now she looks pretty.
Shame.
I got it fixed. I have a styling little background and everything going on. All right, Jimmy, kick it off.
What'd you want me? About gaming?
Who are you? What makes you tick? What got you into the position you're in now?
Me? I've just been gaming all my life. Ever since back in Halo, World of Warcraft were my main games. And then,
Okay.
Destiny was supposed to be the love child of the two, first person MMO shooter. So that's why I got into Destiny. And then I got into streaming because, I've always wanted to upload to YouTube and shit, but I never had the stuff to do it because I was young and dumb and didn't really know how to do it. But I saw the new Xboxes could, clip stuff and record stuff. So I started doing that, uploading clips. Helped some people through Trials of Cyrus originally in Destiny 1. And they're like, oh, you should stream and help people. So I was like, okay, I'll do that. And that's where we are now.
That's all she wrote. So did you start D1 like very beginning, or did you come in a little bit later into it?
I was a little maybe a month or two late, but that's
Okay.
about it.
Oh, that's so much, Jimmy. That's just too rough, bro. All right, Mr. Olmanmakowski, hit it up.
Yeah. So I've been gaming for a long time. Ever since my mom brought home the Super Nintendo bundle package with Yoshi's Island, I think it was, when I was 5 years old. And that's one of my earliest memories that'll stick with me forever. I still can close my eyes and see my mom coming up the stairs with that big black box with the red trim around it, the Super Nintendo. I'll never forget that. And so yeah, I fell in love with games the first time I ever laid my hands on it. So I've been gaming since I was 5 years old. Got into games competitively in 2001 when I was about 11, I guess, with Halo CE.
Okay.
And we were doing what a lot of kids in the neighborhood were, right? We were connecting the Xboxes, getting the LAN set up, and we were going on Hang 'em High, and we played till 6 a.m. and just shoot each other and not even really know much of what we were doing, but we just knew we were having fun. And then towards high school into college or so, I started getting into Halo 2 and Halo 3. And at the time, I was also trying to play college football, which is kind of how me and Kenny have some crossover through just gaming and football. Our other member at G1, one of my partners and one of the owners. And so while I was putting together my highlight tape for football, it had no music, it had no sound. And at the time, now things are way different. Now these football highlight videos do have editing and music and some vibes and some energy and enthusiasm. But back then, you weren't supposed to. It was just cut and dry, no audio. Just give me the clips. We just want to see the footage. And I just thought at the time, like, it would be really fun to add stuff like editing and music and all that. But obviously, maybe the football clips weren't the application for it. So I thought, why not start recording my Halo clips? Because I always saw Halo and football and sports and esports as kind of like of a similar thread. You know, I always saw the similarities between the two, I guess. And so I thought, well, if I can't make this for football, I can probably do it for Halo. So I made the first ever Halo montage, maybe even like one of the first ever pieces of Halo content, the first esports driven Halo content back in 2004 with my first Halo 2 montage, which featured only MLG gameplay at the time, which was also kind of crazy because most people at the time, the guys like the Ogre Twins, Walshy, they were like these legends that never died, right? Like they like Ogre 1 at the time had a game where he went 41-0, and to the general public and most of the community, like that's what it seemed like those guys always like went. They always had 41-0 games because they were just that legendary. So the first time a lot of people got to see these professionals was in my montage, and they were getting shit on, right? So it caused like a big controversy in the scene at the time because, you know, there was like a big split. Like the pros, they didn't fuck with content. They didn't fuck with montages. The Ogre Twins told me actually that, you know, like, we don't make montages, dude. We're Halo pros. We win tournaments.
That's it.
yeah, exactly. We slay and that's it. So there was like this big divide actually at the onset of all of this between the content and the competitive scene. But through my montages, I kind of feel like I was able to sort of bridge that gap with the 100% MLG only gameplay. Still really like, still get really excited about making montages to this day. Going on 20 years, still making montages, still gaming. And yeah, that's kind of for me how it got started and how we got to where we are today.
I fucking love that, dude. That was probably the most in-depth intro, and I'm totally here for it. Yeah.
Sorry, if I ever just start rambling, just cut me off. Let me know.
No, it's great because, like, I mean, I've had all types on here. I've had like Defizzle, I've had Onyx, I've had Boy. I think Boy's was probably my favorite. He's like, I'm Boy, I play video games. Next question.
Everyone's got their own unique style and personality, man. Teach their own, right? Like, you got to embrace all the differences and diversity and different walks of life in the Crucible. So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, both you guys absolutely slay out too. So it's really fun to see like two completely different sides of the spectrum, right? That makes it way more entertaining. But let's start getting into the nitty gritty right out the gate, because both of you guys are very technical in your gameplay. Obviously, with playing your entire childhoods on to now, you've learned a lot about the games themselves. What would you say is the strongest thing that you could tell the viewers when getting started out in PvP gameplay? What is your number one of your top 5?
I think a lot of people when they start out, they stress winning their gunfights, their 1v1s, and their shots, right? Hitting their shots. They really stress that. But a great player wins their 1v1s. Or excuse me, a good player wins their 1v1s. A great player doesn't even seek them out, right? So I think people start off on the wrong foot wanting to win those 1v1s. It's natural. It makes sense that you want to win your gunfight, duh, right? But it really has nothing to do with that, at least at a kind of, I think, like that intro base level. It's all about really like game sense and starting from scratch and starting to build in your head tendencies, or almost like if you think about like the Matrix, like reps in the Matrix. And you can kind of start to, like I said, build tendencies and like jot notes down in the back of your head about, okay, like this guy likes to slide around a corner. This guy likes to hit his shoulder charge or his Icarus dash around corners. And so for you, and this is what I do every game, but for you starting off, don't think about so much about your shots. You're going to start hitting your shots the more you play, but start thinking about what your opponent's tendencies look like. Start thinking about the most optimal routes to get to point A to whatever point on the map you want to get to, right? So I always stress, like, don't sweat the gunplay. You'll get better just through time. Really think about your game sense, really think about your positioning and how to be a great teammate, which is through good communication. All things that excite me, because you don't have to be your typical perception of good to actually be good at first person shooters. It's, like I said, it really comes down to the game sense. So don't sweat missing your shots. That'll come with time. And like I said, focus on that stuff instead.
No, for sure. That's actually really awesome because a lot of people go with the. Hold on, first before I dive more into it, Jimmy, what you got?
Well, he said a lot of. Well, he said a lot of it already. I guess just to add on top of it, really just movement. I mean, not movement. Movement's like not difficult. There's just positioning. You know, being able to position yourself in your cover to get in and out of cover and stuff like that.
So when you
Hunter pretty much summed most of it up.
when you're saying with positioning, let's dig a little bit deeper into it. When you know that you have someone that you're pushing towards,
Yeah.
what would you hug more towards? A wall? What would your movement look like to transfer out into? And we have your gameplay playing right now, but it's kind of fun to hear you explain the thought.
Yeah, where'd you get these
behind it.
clips?
Bro, this is just VODs. I just run the VODs in the background.
Oh, nice.
Just like when you're sliding out, like make sure you're like, you always have an escape route. Basically, just position yourself to where you're near cover, you can get away. You're not in the open like Jav 4 route and one of those where's that, like the helicopter pad area, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Fighting out there, you know. Just position yourself in your cover so you can always get in and out, play your life more. So I mean,
Okay.
if you, of course, you can always get a feel of how good your opponents are pretty much right off the bat. If you can feel your opponents are kind of not nearly as good, then yeah, you can, in this game, you can definitely W key and roll them over a lot easier. But and once you get the feel of them, you know, of course, just play smart, because the gunplay in this game is easy.
Right. So, I mean, obviously you guys both do tons of videos. What do you feel has been your most beneficial video that you've put out across the board?
I think beneficial. I mean, Jimmy and I did a how to snipe video. It's like 45 minutes long. It goes over a lot of stuff. I'd say that was probably like one of the most beneficial videos, but maybe like most entertaining. Like between me and Jimmy, probably our duality montage. I think that was really fun to record. So either one of those two probably for me.
That was a fun one to watch as well.
I put out more of a lot. I don't really put out content like that. More than they just put out I just, like, you know, your typical weapon reviews and occasional memes and stuff like that. But I have done in the past, you know, positioning and movement and stuff like that. So definitely these older videos, which still I might have done like 1v3s and stuff, and the trials tips and all that stuff still rolls over to like the future and now and stuff like that.
Okay. No, it's great. And because you brought up trials. How do you feel about last weekend? What do we think?
I didn't play.
Really?
I haven't played trials in months.
Is there a reason for that? Just don't want to?
It's not fun.
All right.
It's not fun. There's nothing new, so I'm not gonna bitch about it. I just am not gonna play, and I'll do whatever else I enjoy. It's not like I need anything from it. Like if I needed something from it or wanted something from it, yeah, I would do it. But
Surprised you didn't go for the Randy's 2.0.
what is that? A scout rifle?
Yeah.
Yeah, scout rifles aren't good in PvP.
I mean, this one's actually pretty good.
Well,
It was
anybody
pretty
who
good,
thinks they're good in PvP is just farming clips against you know, lesser players. You don't ever see people using that in real stuff.
True.
Yeah, Hunter, quit farming people.
Quit farming, forehead.
Yeah, quit farming, forehead. Well,
Yeah, I
Hunter,
thought,
I guess this falls on you.
Yeah,
I enjoyed this weekend. I played every day of the weekend. I need to probably not play on Sunday because that's when the flawless pool gets turned on, and maybe just play more on Friday, Saturday. But Trials is in an okay spot. I think they need to make the zone control or the zone trials or whatever it was. I think they need to make that permanent because the game just flows so much better. I don't, as a sniper, you'd think, I'd probably prefer to stay, in the back of the map and wait for a pick, which I'm down waiting for a pick, but I think a minute to wait for a pick is too long. I think to wait for that pick, it should be 30 seconds at most. And then I like zone control because it forces you to, make a move. So I think Trials is really close. Needs more consistent content updates through things like armor and weapons, especially weapons people go nuts for. It's a big driving factor in population, I think, in addition to having a good map up. So, but I love JAP 4. I think JAP 4 is probably one of the top 2-3 Trials maps. So I did have fun this weekend. Although, like I said, that Trials pool does not offer enough reward for the pain it is. I wouldn't mind playing in like an MLG Trials tournament if, you know, I was guaranteed some high stat roll armor or double weapon, you know, something to make it worth it. Because right now I think it's almost built to get you out, right? Like you get your flawless and you get out, which I don't know. I don't like. Bungie needs reasons to replay this game. You know, the legendary raid and the legendary campaign are great, but you know, that's not statistically, especially something like raids that a lot of people do, or a lot of people do multiple times. So I think when you look at the core activities, it's Crucible, Gambit, even like strikes. So I think the replayability falls a lot of the times in things like that, especially in PvP.
So what if you could walk into Bungie's headquarters tomorrow and say, fix this one thing for replayability, what would it be?
I guess it wouldn't, for me, it wouldn't even be about like a direct replayability thing. I think if they did this, the game would just be more replayable because it'd be more enjoyable. And that would just be a full split between the PvE and PvP sandboxes. So they kind of piecemeal it here and there. You'll see things like, I'm trying to think of an example. I think Warcliff was something like that, or Gallahorn. In PvP now, the tracking is less, or the Wolfpack rounds less explosive. So, something that's balanced, split between PvP and PvE, right? PvE, it's still the power fantasy. It's still super strong. So if I could do anything right now at Bungie, it would be I would lean into that more. I'd double down on it and really start to take that sandbox team and separate the two. That way you could have a little bit more balance, because it's just weird to me that the 30th anniversary patch almost like got rid of abilities, and then Void 3.0 launches, and it feels like more ability driven than ever before. I've been thinking a lot the last week, now that I'm getting back into the game, like, holy shit, can you imagine if they didn't nerf abilities and Void 3.0 came out? Like, my god.
Yeah,
nobody would be firing a weapon. So yeah, so that would be my thing. That'd be my first move.
Yeah, makes sense. Jimmy, what do you got? What would bring you back into Trials for the replayability?
Trials, or just the game in general?
In general, but mostly, like, obviously it's supposed to be the pinnacle end game activity.
So my main thing, and a lot of people don't really like this, but it's just me, because me as the games I love MMORPGs. I love those style games more so than first person shooters. Like, I love World of Warcraft more than like, this is my most favorite game, right? So I've always wanted Destiny to be a bit. Destiny doesn't have enough role-playing aspects to me.
Okay.
Not MMORPG aspects to me. Like, they're there. You have your Titan, which, you know, supposed to be maybe like a tank. You have your Warlock, which is maybe like a, not really a healer, but like a, you know, magical, or, you know, like DPS. Then you have your Hunter, which is like your quick little, you know, assassin rogue style, right?
Yep.
So I would definitely rather have the game a bit more like that, and then with, you know, specific roles and things like that. And then the loot system, I would definitely change to be a bit more like World of Warcraft aspect. Not necessarily like the new stuff, but just it'd be a way more loot for me, because it's a long topic to get into. But I love the loot system more so in that game.
So you're thinking like a need, want, pass type
scenario, not even that,
or...
yeah, true, but like just the amount of loot in the game. I would much rather have. I love static rolls, right? I love static rolls, but for me, I want 1,000 static rolled hand cannons that I can hunt for, and I can farm a certain boss for that. And it's a really low drop chance, and only one drops for the group, and people will fight for it. People will ninja it. There's drama like that. You know, I love MMORPGs, and this game just doesn't have a lot of that feel, which I know it's, like I said, it's a whole different topic for me. But Trials needs just something to hunt, because there's nothing really to work for.
Right.
You know what? I've been like, I really wished or hoped that Trials would have launched like this with its own distinct exotic, probably a hand cannon, and you could only get it when opening the lighthouse chest, and it had like a super low, like 1 to 10% chance of dropping. So, like, talk about
Yeah.
having an incentive to play trials,
Oh,
and
definitely,
especially to play through all the
Jeez.
way, right? Like, imagine that, some exotic that's, imagine like the last spade, you know, like a last word ace of spades combination, right?
And then the
Something like that.
what was the other thing I was finna say? I was gonna say with trials, in the current form of it, typically the only people that play it are just service people, you know, service streamers, people who are doing carries, because that's the entertainment you get out of it, is helping somebody, right? That, and then people who haven't even, who are still looking for loot. That's pretty much the only two people who. It's only two groups of people who play it. I don't think many people play it just for fun.
I'm one of those crazy ones. I play it for fun. I do. I think that I like Trials as a game mode, but I absolutely agree with you both that I wish to God there was something to chase. Like, I jumped in because I was like, okay, well, it's there's a new scout rifle. It's probably going to be bad. Whatever, we'll get it anyway, just to say we have it, right?
Yeah.
I haven't even tested it yet. But I do play Trials for fun because I do like the competitive aspect of it in PvP. I feel like it's a lot more controlled than sixes, and even comp, really. I think it's a little more fun than that, but I totally see where you both are coming from.
For me, like Destiny has lost its competitiveness to me, so I don't even play Trials for that. Like I know, like I love PvE. Like I fucking like when I play WoW, New World, any other RPG game. I don't really care for the PvP that much. I love the PvE.
Right.
But Destiny just doesn't tick that box for me.
It's in a weird, it's its weird own genre, I guess, is the best way to put it. And I've posted this on Twitter before, where I'm like, if you could put Destiny into a genre, what would it be? Because they said they wanted to lean into the RPG, but it's not quite an RPG. They said they wanted to lean into the first-person shooter. It's not quite a first-person shooter. I was like, I don't know where it would sit into, honestly. I really don't.
Kind of like it's like everything, but but because it's everything, it can't be like Jimmy wants, like this hardcore MMORPG. Like, it's only ever going to be a little MMORPG. It's only ever going to be a little bit of arena shooter. It's only going to be a little bit of puzzle, or raid puzzle. Like, it's always going to be a little bit of everything, I think.
And I think that's kind of its niche, I think that's what almost makes it so inviting to start, but it's also very overwhelming because of that as a new player.
Yeah.
Like, I have a couple
even
friends
just grinding for light levels.
Yeah.
Even just grinding for light level is kind of like I'll be under leveled for trials for the next probably like 2 weeks. So like I've been playing this game every day for 7 years, and I'm still like,
right.
I came back recently, but it's even for veteran players, it can be pretty like, it's not just like Halo where you can just fire up custom games and play match out, right? So it takes a lot of commitment, which is part of the fun too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't like the light level system. I like just leveling.
I miss when it was like early 30s, like 31 to 32. Felt like, holy shit, I'm a god now. Now, if you went up a light level, it just feels so arbitrary, tired, kind of.
We're up another number. Nice.
Yeah, it's lost its allure for sure. I'd rather they just have difficulty meters for everything. PvP doesn't need to have light level enabled. There's that makes no sense. It really outside of incentivizing people to play the game to add their light, to get their light level up, which is I guess what they're doing. PvP should never have that kind of scaling. That's nuts. I can't imagine. Imagine dropping into Apex or like Call of Duty Warzone, and this guy's bullets he's doing 9 damage more per shot. Like you think that's fucking insane, but in Destiny, that's just trials.
It's because they try and tie PvP into PvE when like No, just make PvP its own separate like
Yeah.
thing. Like it doesn't like well,
Right.
get the lore out of it, get all that shit out of it. Give us some random crazy shit that's strictly PvP. But
Yep,
again, they have
yep.
to try and keep the stuff intertwined.
Yeah, that's why every god roll you get from PvP is the meta in PvE and vice versa. Like
Yeah,
with the mountaintop
absolutely.
and
Mountaintop and Recluse
everything else
ran
ever.
it for how long?
yep. And those are
Yeah.
obviously, those are pinnacle PvP weapons. You had to grind out PvP to get that. So Bungie, I think, knows that, hey, well, how do we get someone who would probably never step foot in this playlist to play? So, but they don't have that kind of carrot on the stick anymore. So they need to figure something out. Whether it's, I don't know if it's Pinnacles again, because Pinnacles kind of broke the game. But yeah, like Jimmy says,
I think it should be
what you guys are
Pinnacles.
saying.
Hi,
Yeah, I think Pinnacles are fine. I don't think,
100%.
I don't know why. Yeah, like, yeah, they were overwhelming majority like of what people used, and it took away some of the thought in the build craft. Like, oh, what do I want to do right now? Ah, well, just Mountaintop Recluse. There
Right.
was a little too much of that, which I feel like just by knocking down the perk pool or, just changing it up a little bit, you can have these kind of weapons that maybe like I what I think would be dope is if the Pinnacles 2.0 had choices, and so one of the two they could synergize with each other, but two together wouldn't be like super OP, right?
Right.
Like, so you can pick snapshot or you can pick opening shot, right? So it's like but you can't have both, or you can pick quick draw or you can pick firmly planted, but you can't have both. I think that would be kind of like a cool, like, just from like kind of like philosophical approach to Pinnacles 2.0. You can't have like the god roll 5 out of 5, but you can pick and choose. You're just gonna have to pick and choose something that ultimately ends up being like a 4 out of 5 or a 3 out of,
Right, and
not
then balance
that
it out that way.
game breaker. Yeah.
That doesn't just run the entire playlist. So we got a couple questions. I've been skipping on them. Let me scroll back first. So Bane was saying, what is your favorite map in the Crucible? I know we're backtracking a little bit here. I have to find it again. I lost it. Shit. Here it is. He said we were talking about Jav and how Jav was playing and stuff, and he asked what your favorite map is currently and why.
I'll go first, and I would say I probably like Endless Veil a little bit more than Javelin 4.
Okay.
Why? Because it's a little bit of a smaller, not a huge map, it's a little bit of a smaller map. It's symmetrical, and it's got really nice 7th column potential. But it just plays out nicely.
Hunter,
Not a
what
whole
you
bunch
got?
of random bullshit.
Right. There's not a bunch of barricades, but there's also not a bunch of lanes. I 100%
weird.
agree with that.
So it's weird because there's a lot of maps that I like in Destiny, but then I don't know. I guess I don't have any maps that I just like. I either love them or hate them. But yeah, I love Widow's Court, Jav 4, Burnout, Endless Veil, Altar of Flame. But then everything else outside of that, I kind of hate. But if I had to pick one, I'd say Altar of Flame. I've always liked Altar of Flame. It reminds me of
Really?
Burnout, but yeah, a little bit more sniper friendly,
True. That's very
I
true.
like Altar.
I have not been a fan of Altar for a long time. Not since D1, actually. Not since it was Burning Shrine.
Yeah.
All right. So we got one from Valor that says, do you feel like if Destiny had a soft lock on certain playlists with certain weapons, then would that help with player retention? So, like, for example, you can't run a fusion in Trials, or 1 week it's precision weapons only. Do you think that would boost the player base, or do you think that would lower it?
No, I don't know if it would necessarily boost or lower it. It's a little too, I think, confusing. Like, to like switch it up, like it's almost like a modifier for strikes. I don't know if that would be like the best thing for PvP. I've always said that in numbers, in like small numbers, nothing's really like that bad in Destiny. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as people think. When it does get bad is when you start seeing people stack it. So if you run into a team that's of 3, let's say, that's all running Last Word, or a team of 3 and they're all running Behemoth when Behemoth was just like silly, stupid OP, or 3 Warlocks Dawnblade running DMT, right? It doesn't get bad in this game until you start seeing things get stacked. Excuse me. So my solution would be to only allow 1 per So only one, like maybe even legendaries, but for sure exotics and supers and subclasses and exotic armor. I think that would be as far as I would go, as far as kind of
Okay, so like ability lockouts, that type of
limiting.
thing.
Yeah, that would be that's kind of where my head would go if I were to implement some kind of a lockout system like that. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
I would say if you want to try and persuade people to use certain stuff inside of trials, there can just be like a weekly modifier where if you use this style weapon, you'll get extra coins or some shit,
Right.
But it doesn't like force people to use them, but it just kind of incentivizes them to use something different that the game recommends,
Almost like a wealth card type thing, but more for
Yeah,
loadouts.
because I mean, like Trials of Osiris is basically a casual playlist at this point. So
What do you mean?
Yeah,
It's
quick play sweat
peak
here, bro.
performance. Quick play is rough right now with all the shields and one taps, and I don't know how you did exactly.
like Trials, like the fact that they have separate pools to help baby players through it. It's a casual playlist.
Yeah, it goes back to like, oh, one guy going invis, one guy with overshield. It's whatever. We'll deal with it. But if everybody's doing it, it's just it can be a really, it's kind of like a hold on to your butts scenario when you queue and you come across a team like that, because whether they're good or not, you're in for a bad time. So
It goes back to the stacking anything makes it tougher for sure.
yeah.
I definitely agree with that. So obviously, Hunter, you're a sniper. Have you always been a sniper?
I'd say for the most part, yeah. I think I started off in 2004 and 2005 with that montage, and the snipe was a great tool for something like a montage clip. So I started learning at an early age from watching just MLG.TV or MLG forum broadcasts of their live stream of their tournaments back in the mid 2000s, and Gandhi was Scott Lucier. Gandhi, he's the lead developer on I'm drawing a blank on the game. It's a third person game. I forget. It does okay, but yeah, I would just watch Gandhi just religiously and learn from him how to snipe. So Halo 2, I kind of was like learning. I was in the trenches. Halo 3, I was started picking it up during scrims and stuff, and started getting a little bit more confidence from my teammates. And I love sniping in Halo 3. Like I really loved it in Halo 2, but like Halo 3 is when I really started to enjoy it. And then fast forward to when Destiny came out, and I found out you could essentially run with a sniper around at all times. That's when, so I guess like 2014 or so, that's when it kind of like became, I guess, more a part of my identity, where I was almost always sniping.
The snipe wizard. And then Jimmy, obviously you've kind of switched between each game that we've watched. Is there a preference that you like to run when you feel like really sweating it out, or going all out in a game? I've seen you with a chaperone.
I do it all. I do it all.
Okay.
Personally, like if I'm going to if I want to try harder, I'm gonna run meta, which is basically like a hand cannon sniper or hand cannon shotgun. Chaperone is shotguns are typically a little easier to use than snipers, so might as well use a shotgun, especially if I have a hunter with me. Like there's no point in having two snipers. I mean, it's useful. Like sniper is definitely better than a shotgun. You can one hit kill at any range, right? But the shotgun's gonna have just a slight bit easier to use. And also, like my with Destiny, I like running into a group of 3 people and prevailing and killing them all. The 6 people, killing them all. That's what I do.
Yep. You hold forward and shotgun it out.
Yeah, but like I like to kill the whole team, not just like forward and get 1 kill or trade like that. That's what I like to do. I like to just I'll just freaking not shoulder charge, ballistic slam into a group of whole people. And what I like is just being able to really prevail and kill that whole team. I like being in the I like getting in the shit.
I like punching things.
Yeah, I like getting in the shit, and figuring out a way out, killing them all and shit like that.
Right, give you that little bit of excitement. So that actually builds.
I was
No,
gonna
go
say
ahead.
most time right now I'm just bored, so I run a little bit of everything. Like SMGs are my favorite right now.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I've put the last word down. I'm reformed. And
Formed.
I
new
SMG
man.
now. Yep.
He picked up an SMG. I'm reformed.
Yeah. I had a multi-mock, just a god roll with no use, sitting in the vault. So I was cleaning it out for Witch Queen a couple weeks ago, and it's like, hey, this is what everyone's talking about right now.
Right.
So
This
started
shreds.
using that, loving it, man. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think SMG's definitely like. I like if I had to pick at the end of the season when we look back at the two most popular like archetypes and weapon types. I think for primaries it'll be SMG, and then for specials it'll be fusions. I think in May, whenever the next season starts.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. So let's roll it back. We got a question that's asked every single Scrum school without fail, and it's going to work really well with Jimmy's statement about shotguns. He says, "What do you think of improving pellet shotgun consistency so they more reliably kill within 8 meters, but reducing range so they're only really effective within that range? This could allow SMGs and sidearms to be more effective at shutting down W keys, while skilled players would still be able to close the gap."
What was the first part about shotguns?
Improving pellet consistency so they more reliably kill within 8 meters.
I would rather. I like shotgun. How do we improve them to make him kill at 8 meters?
No. So that would be their effective range. Would be like an 8-meter range. Would you feel like that would work? Would you feel like it wouldn't work?
I would rather have them have like basically a 2-meter range.
Oh,
Barrel stuff or nothing.
Yeah, shotguns in most games are pretty easy to use. I think of a pellet. I would definitely rather have pellets just like nerfed pretty hardcore.
Interesting. Okay, so you're going the opposite route. You'd rather see it tanked.
Yeah, I'd rather see pellets tanked and slugs. Maybe nerfed a little bit, but I'd rather see people use slugs than a pellet.
I was about to say, if you want that Titan range, why don't you just grab a slug? This is the sniper talking, so I don't know. I don't know much about shotguns.
I
If
kinda
you want to
see
make him,
Hunter
if
on a
you want to
shotgun.
make him, I mean, is he trying to make him
Chaperone's
better?
still insane, right? Like I speaking of snipes, like I feel like I got sniped a couple times, looked in the feed, and it was the chaperone. So there's still I feel like some options to have consistency and range, right? And then even something like the Soldier's Tail.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
I
a
mean, I
legendary
love
option
slugs.
that's providing some chappy performance almost. So
I want to see Ganora's come back, personally. Ganora's axe was one of my favorite shotguns of all time. As a legendary, anyway.
just crafted forehead.
Yeah, just craft it. And speaking of crafting, how do we feel about it?
I haven't used it.
Yeah, I still don't know enough about crafting to really speak on it, but the concept of going back to like the menagerie, the concept of getting to build around what you like, eat what you like,
Right.
I think sounds really appealing. So once I get my teeth around it a little bit more, I think hopefully I'll start crafting stuff. But from what I gather from the chat and the community is the crafting wasn't really rolled out in full, so it's still kind of like in beta. So, like for example, like hand cannons you can't even craft right now, which is wild to me that the most probably popular weapon type isn't even craftable right now. So I think in typical Bungie fashion, they're gonna kind of piecemeal it, like trickle it out, and then kind of adjust as it gets out into the hands of the community.
Yeah.
I like crafting.
Okay.
I just haven't used it at all.
Interesting. Okay. I mean,
I love the idea.
I think DMG made a really interesting point on Twitter yesterday. I made a post about how Menagerie was the best activity that we've had for loot. Anyway, it was the best loot policy. Or I'm blanking on the
I
word.
agree. It was one of the better ones.
Well, his response was, "What if is that because you just got your hand cannon and got out though?" And that was a weird statement for me. But when you said something about crafting hand cannons, that popped back into my head, and I'm almost wondering if that's why they didn't introduce it.
They get their hand cannon crafted and then never touch crafting again. Yep.
Bingo. That's kind of what I was thinking. Is they do some kind of off meta type crafting for you to get a feel for it,
Yep.
and then they start introducing that. I don't know. What do you
Yep.
guys think about that?
Well, yeah, it kind of goes back to like, yeah, we know Bungie designs the game to be replayable, which is why it's so weird that the flawless pool kind of negates that, you know, like almost invites you to like get your flawless and then, or your hand cannon in this case, or their scout rifle in this case, and get out. So it's kind of disjointed vision, it seems like, because yeah, it seems like some things that they would design as so you do play it over and over again, and then other things it's like with flawless pool, for example, it's like they didn't take that into consideration. So
Yeah, I agree. Jimmy, how do you feel about it?
So with his statement about quitting that specific thing, like, yeah, I got my thing, I got out. But if the game was just fun to play, you know, I would keep playing the game.
Yeah. I mean, I enjoyed the shit out of Menagerie. I played that so
Not even
much.
like Menagerie. Like, I use my thing, I use Menagerie to get my weapon, I get out. But then the game itself overall was fun, like PvP. So I go play fun PvP activities with that gun, and I have loads of fun in that activity just because the activity and the stuff is fun, regardless of the weapon.
yeah, Menagerie, you get like a 3 out of 5 or a 4 out of 5 god roll, and then you'd be like, all right, well, this is good enough to go play PvP, play PvP over and over again until you get back on and maybe a reset, and you're like, all right, well, let's go for the 5 out of 5, or let's go for something with a little bit different loot combination or perk combination, right? So
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
even something like Menagerie, where yeah, you could theoretically get what you want and then get out. It wasn't like that for me personally, even though I did get a god roll beloved, well, you know, one of my first ever Menagerie runs. I played that through all the way until the very end. So
Agreed. I was the same way. 100%.
yeah, because it wasn't just snipes. Like, well, all right, now I got my snipe. Well, now you can go to hand cannon. You get like they had every type of
Yep.
everything. It wasn't just one thing that you wanted. It was every single weapon type. So
Yeah, exactly.
well, not saying like bring back the Menagerie necessarily, but I'd be curious to see something like that with the craftability now. I think that would be like reaching a pretty good place where the player's time feels respected, and that if they want something, they can go grind for it, spend 4 or 5 considerable amount of time on it, like several hours on it, but at the end of that, you know what you're getting. And I think
Yeah.
that's hard though, because like the RNG part of this game is the fun part too. So
My
finding
RNG
that balance.
sucks.
don't like
I
it.
hate it.
It's a fucking it's a
Some people though,
it's a
at
7 slot. It was like seven
For
possible
sure.
perks, 5 possible perks. It's a slot machine.
Well,
My RNG
Jimmy,
is
and that's why some
so
people like
bad.
it, because they love that simulation of like the slot machine pull. People love that. That's dopamine right there. That's all dopamine. Like,
Yeah, but you
Bruh,
know what? It sucks
no.
whenever you farm a boss for so long all day. He drops the
Oh,
gun
for sure.
and it's a shit roll.
no,
Yep,
for sure. Fuck,
exactly.
Yeah, fuck that.
Imagine if you farmed the boss for like 5 months or whatever, and then the actual god roll drops.
Yeah, see, I go back to the Heretic Strike as my example for this. I ran that strike 228 times for a God rolled Mindbenders. Not once did I get it. I didn't get my 5 out of 5. Not one time. 228 runs on that fucking Nightfall.
Yep.
And that's what like a lot of times I've said in the past. I like changing the form, change where the RNG is.
Mhm.
So like I said, like World of Warcraft, the boss has a loot table. It has a certain weapon that you're farming for. That weapon has like a point, like 2% chance to drop. But if it drops, it's the actual god roll. That's why I prefer static rolls. But that also requires like I said 1,000 earlier. It's very over exaggerated, but it's just a example. Like imagine if we had 1,000 different dungeons with 1,000 different loot tables, and 1,000 different static rolls for not just hand cannons. We're talking hand cannons, snipers, pulse rifles, stuff like that. And then the other fun part is you're with like a group of like just 3 people, for example, right? You're with 3 people, it drops, and if you're with randoms, you gotta fucking fight for them over it. Which was
Like
also
Gambit invasion.
So
last
that's
person
why-
standing gets the.
so that's
the
why you
god
That'd
roll.
be kind of fun.
that's
Yeah,
why
that
it
would
would
be fun.
definitely also make you want to, go with your group, go with your friends more so.
Right.
But
Yeah,
then
no-
people, no, I don't have anybody to play with. I have to go use LFG. Join a fucking clan or some shit.
Join a clan.
And
Get into it.
interact.
All right, let's dive back into the PvP portion a little bit here. I saw Endure asked a question. Hold up. Where'd it go? Here it is. So Mac, this one's for you. He says, as a fellow sniper, how would you go about giving people advice on how to snipe when they're beginning? Said I've had to ask people to teach me, or ask me help teach them, and I'm unsure on what advice to give. I'm an aggressive sniper, so I snipe differently than those that are more passive.
So sniping for me, and I'd say like the bare basis for gunplay in any shooter is centering. And centering can be discussed as it's a lot of things. It can be looked at as like pre-aim. Centering can be looked at as like stick or mouse discipline, right? But for me with centering, I try to have that reticule where the opponent's going to be before they even get there. And a lot of that goes back to what I said first is about game sense, right? Jotting down that mental note that, all right, he's aggressive. He likes to slide around every corner. So with my centering or my pre-aim, I'll lower it down a little bit to almost to where like it's at slide height level, right? And then I've got my centering for someone who might be coming around a corner, sprinting or even walking or slow peeking with a strafe. And then there's even a third tier of centering, which is like your upper tier for people who like to jump or jump in shoulder charge or jump in Icarus dash, whatever it might be. So cut the map into thirds, your centering, and you'll have a way better understanding of sniping. And I always say like you're almost kind of like setting your reticule as like a trap, right? Like it's not really so much aiming as it is timing. If you're playing it right and you're playing them into your trap, into your reticule. And so yeah, it's to answer the question, it's all about centering at the end of the day. Centering is key.
Okay. And Jimmy, because you've been enjoying SMGs so much, what's one piece of advice you can give to somebody that's running SMGs to improve their aim, to improve their consistency, to win those gun battles?
Use a good SMG, right? use a meta SMG.
What would you recommend then? Let's take it a step further. So you say a good SMG. What would you classify as a good SMG?
Like Antiope or Antiope. I don't think you can get anymore, but that one was always good. A lot of it comes down to the rolls, right?
Sure.
Some feel better than the others, but find one that's actually good, like a good roll, and then use that. But it just comes down to putting in the reps and putting in the time and the hour. Stay hungry and devour. It comes down to just playing. Like put it on, go play, and your individual practice, because you get practice. Like it comes down to your individual's hand-eye coordination. You can play aim trainers. I don't recommend aim trainers. I mean, they're fun to play, but aim trainers are only good to play if you actually try and match your sensitivity to the game that you're playing. Because if you're just trying to go for a high score, typically a higher sense is going to do better, right?
I think aim trainers are good for someone switching over to mouse and keyboard. I played on that a little bit to kind of get some muscle memory for when I want to play on mouse and keyboard. But yeah, like Jimmy said, I'm not a big believer in that stuff like Aim Hero or any type of like aim trainer, because what you really want to be training is your game sense. And when you go into those aim trainer games, you get no game sense repetition, no reps in the matrix, right? You're just shooting, which you'll do anyways if you just play the game itself. So all that time you spent in Aim Hero or Aim Trainer, outside of someone who's maybe like a very, very basic beginner just looking to get their muscle memory down, I think you're better off just getting some game time in.
Okay.
Yeah, play the game 1v1 a friend and stuff like that. So there's not any like cheesy bullshit going on.
That was actually one of the huge questions that I ask every time, is how you felt about aim trainers. So I'm glad we kind of touched down on that now, because it's a big topic for everybody. Should I spend hours in aim trainers, or is there something better you recommend? So I'm glad we hit on that.
Yeah.
That was perfect, actually. So Zen asks, is aggressive sniping still viable in this meta?
Yeah, and I think 72 RPMs are the play right now, because the 72 RPMs do enough body damage or impact damage that you can no scope melee or almost use it like a shotgun. And going back to centering, there's centering for, precision, headshots, right? And then there's center mass centering as well, where you're just looking to get some shots down or some damage down. And that's kind of the shift in mindset whenever I do try to play aggressive, try to play fast in someone's face. If I'm coming through, here's another way to look at it. If you want to be aggressive with a sniper, let's say I'm pushing into Diamond Door on Jav 4. Think about the fact that you're pushing through a doorway that is limited by whatever the width and height is of that doorway, right? You now have an easier no scope melee opportunity there because you've cut the map in half as far as what you have to aim at, right? So if you're going through that doorway, everything outside of that doesn't even exist. You almost black it out in your in your mind. It doesn't exist. It's not there. You get super laser focused down on that doorway, and it gives you such a small lane to shoot on. You have much less room for error, or excuse me, much more, I guess you could maybe argue. It's just an easier shot to hit. So think about that when you're going through doorways and trying to be aggressive with a sniper. You can center mass and get that melee in and almost use it like a shotgun.
Okay. No, that's perfect. And that was actually a lot bigger of a topic than I think chat realized when you said that. Playing doorways is huge, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you watch Jimmy's screen right now on his, now he's got the whole screen to work with, right? So now it's it opened up a little bit, but when he pushed in and got those first 2 to 3 kills with that fusion rifle, it was so free for someone like Jimmy who's already good at the game because his addressable surface area of potential aiming death is so concentrated and focused. Right there too, he's gonna hit that shot because he's coming out of a door that's fucking 2x2. Jimmy doesn't have to aim anywhere but that, and Jimmy understands that. Jimmy knows that Jimmy knows with his mouse discipline, I guarantee you he's not etching that wall. He's not letting it go past that wall left or right because he knows he doesn't have to. So it's almost when they say use the test to take the test. I think that's a really good tip for with something in that line of thinking, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. That was just a really interesting one that I don't think was really noticed at first. So I figured we would highlight that. Let's talk combating weapons. And Jimmy, I'm going to bully you a little bit here because you've been running this fusion for almost the entire hour now. What?
You say running a fusion?
Yeah.
Are you watching old video or something?
No, this was maybe it's an older video. You're using a main ingredient though. It doesn't look old.
Yeah. I just got it. I was dicking around that day. Yeah.
Yeah. So, fusions. What do you recommend to run and playstyles to use to combat fusions?
Bait their shots.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's all it comes down
play
to.
The corners. You get caught in no man's land against the fusion, and the rule of thumb generally would be if you get caught out in no man's land, period, you're fucked. But the fusions just exemplify that because, yeah,
you gotta have the discipline.
Don't want to get caught out.
You gotta have the discipline to be able to you slide out or peek a corner, and you shoot a shot and you hit him a headshot with your hand cannon, right? You gotta be able to have the discipline to stop shooting and turn around and get out of there into cover, right? Just because you hit the headshot. There's not enough time to be able to hit 2 other headshots by the time they kill you. So you gotta bait their shots. Basically, you probably don't want to slide out. You slide out, you're not gonna have time to do anything unless you just slide out and slide back in.
Right.
So basically, you just slow peek a corner, shoot once, but then have the discipline to just get back into cover. And then of course you just keep it. You can try and keep in mind if it's trials. If the game of trials map is probably gonna have, they're only gonna have 2 shots, right? If you really want to go hard and quick play, pay attention to the kill feed. Probably say that they just got killed, and you see that they respawn in front of you. They only have 2 shots, right? You can get really super try hard like that, but
right.
And then
I don't know who gets try hard in quick play.
Pay attention to you can feel right off the bat if they're going to be an easy fusion player or they're going to be a good fusion player. But basically, you gotta bait the shots. Is all. Pay attention to where your teammates die and who they were killed by. Oh, that's the guy that's running the fusion. My teammate died over here. The guy at the fusion's be over there. So I can still be aggressive and do my thing over here. But maybe when I come over in this section of the map, I gotta be careful because it's gonna be the fusion.
I kind of play it with. That goes back to the.
That's really try hard though, because paying attention to the kill feed like that to calculate where they're at, you know.
Right. I mean, but that matters, you know,
Like, you have
especially
to-
in comp and trials. That's huge.
Yeah, you gotta watch the kill feed because the kill feed starts that timer in the back of your head. All right, they got 10 seconds. Like once that name pops up on the feed, timer starts in the back of your head. I got 10 seconds till they're spawning, based on process of elimination, who's on the map, where my teammates are on the map, where the opponents most recently died. You can probably get a pretty good idea of where they're spawning. And then now when you have that combination of when they're spawning, like you're on their ass. And I think that's kind of going back to like the game sense, because I think I think as you get older you might lose some reaction time physically, but the game sense, if you're taking notes every game and you're, like I said, getting those reps in the matrix, right? Like you could almost like lose a little step there physically, but mentally you're 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of the game just based on game sense. And that's where I'm at like this point in my career. I get way more excited for predicting what another player is going to do, as opposed to like hitting 4 headshots with sniper and getting a lights out. Like,
Right.
I'd rather make a smart play. I think that's way more fun at this point.
And there's Jimmy trying to go for 7s all day.
Well, that's
Not
in quick
happy
play, right?
unless
There's a
it's a
time.
seven.
There's a time and a place. So like, yeah, quick
Right.
play. It's like, screw it, let it rip. But yeah, if you are playing comp or you are playing trials, then usually try to bring the fundamentals to the table. You know, even though Destiny's not the most competitive game, there are habits that you can develop in this game that do carry over to, more competitive titles like Apex or Halo, Valorant, whatever it might be. So
Sure.
just because Destiny's not a competitive game doesn't mean you should like be lazy, but at the same time have fun. Like that's my approach now, is like I just want to have fun, hit trick shots, like do crazy shit, which isn't competitive in the least bit, right? But at the same time, like I may try to hit like a stupid 360, but everything up until that point is calculated. You know what I mean?
You're right.
So it's a balance, right? It's Destiny's not, I don't think, meant to be played super try hard competitive, but it is a great learning environment. I think it's a great sandbox.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I like the differences in weapon types, so you get that experience to play across the board, you know? You can play aggressive if you want to play aggressive. You can play slower if you want to play slower. It has that full gambit, I guess. Because I played Halo forever. As a kid, I was a lot like you. Not as good as you, obviously, but... All right, so I got one more question for me, and then we'll open up the floor to chat if they have any other ones, and then we'll get into the practical portion. What is one weapon that you're really struggling with combating against, and what have you found to beat it?
What am
I'd say,
I?
like,
What
Fusions have been pretty tricky, but we kind of talked about that. Just not getting caught out in no man's land, playing corners, playing cover. I remember at one point DMTs were really, really tough. One of the ways I combated that was I'd take a peek with the snipe, and let's say I got a body shot, I don't stick around to get the headshot or even the cleanup, right? I think I would have maybe when DMT first came out, but like it's just one of those weapons where you don't have that window, and so you just got to kind of, like I said, just jot down those like little mental notes. And like Jimmy said, you don't have to, like, every fight you don't have to take, every person you get one shot, you don't have to clean up. So knowing kind of like that fight or flight, like, all right, here's a situation where, yeah, I did well to get him weak, but it's not my fight to finish. So
Right.
being conscious of that is key.
Can we just talk about the fact that you sniped that Thunder Crash? Because that was one of my favorite clips of yours. It just came
Is that
up.
right here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That was weird because I've had a couple where they're flying like Superman, but that one hadn't even taken off yet. I felt bad.
Yeah, that was kind of hot. All right, Jimmy, what is
launch.
what is your most frustrating weapon to go against, and what have you found to beat it?
Oh, Dead Messenger. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but fuck Dead Messenger. It's like a heavy weapon, but it's not. Screw that.
What did you say? Oh,
Sorry,
the
go ahead,
grenade
Jimmy.
launcher.
Sorry. Yes, the Dead Messenger, bro.
Really? The
I thought I was getting hit
waveform
by
grenade
heavy.
launcher?
Dude, Titans with the overshield and the shields and the Dead Messenger ate my shit all weekend.
I was gonna
Alright.
say I don't think there's any weapons that I find that are struggle or challenge against. It's more the abilities that are even then not even super. Okay, so for me, I guess you better answer me. What do I find annoying? And what I find annoying is grenade launchers and abilities. There's nothing honestly I don't think is too hard to counter though.
Okay. Wow.
I mean, to Jimmy's point, like I agree kind of, because it's like I always say, like, play your game, man.
Yep.
Do you, boo? Like, I see so many people look up stats, fucking KD, like where they went to high school. Like people look up so much fucking information before the game starts. Like you get everything you need in that pregame card where it shows like what weapons they use. Outside of that, all that information is just fucking. It's gonna make you think, oh my god, they're so cracked that I can't beat them, or it's gonna make you think that like, oh my god, they're so shit, I don't need to try hard this game. Fuck that. Play every game like there's $1 million on the $1 million on the line. Play every game like there's 1 million viewers. Play every game like they're goated. Play every game like you respect like your opponent. Even and you know, maybe throughout the match you start. Jimmy said, you kind of find out quick if they're actually like if they're
I was gonna say
worth trying hard against. But you should at
stat
least go into
checking.
it like that.
Stat checking is like some beta shit.
Yep.
You're fucking looking up stats online, like you're. Ugh.
Yeah.
You're gonna
energy.
feel instantly, like
That's
based on the player
energy.
you are.
That's energy. You're typing on the keyboard. You're looking up their stats. You're commenting it to your teammates. Like that's just free energy that you'd be better off like storing before the game starts and try to have like a good focused start.
Well, that's that land mentality is what that is. I've been there.
Nope.
You don't have time to focus on how the opponents are playing. You got to be in the
Play
zone.
your game. Play your game. Fuck that. Play your game.
Just play you, do you, and you're gonna feel right away whether they're good opponents or not.
So I laugh extra at that one, and the biggest reason behind it is because my overall KD is a 0.9, but that's because for the first 30k kills that I think I've gotten, I was testing weapons, I was learning what I liked, I was messing around with stuff, figuring out where I fit into the Crucible. And since then, I've been playing at a 1.6. But every single time I get into Guardian Theater, every single time, I hear, he's a 0.9. This is going to be easy. This is going to be simple.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking comp. We're talking trials. They're like, and then about second, third round in, they're like, he's got to be a recov. He's definitely being recoved right now. I'm like, no, I've just put the fucking time in to learn it. And it makes me laugh every single time I hear it. But I think that goes back to your statement of don't pay attention to stats, because stats don't mean shit.
Even what they're using to a degree doesn't matter. So here's one thing though, they don't mean really shit like for that stuff. But the only thing I would say, like, if I don't know, like if someone on my stream, like if someone, like if I ask like who wants to play with me or who can help me, right? If I don't know you, yeah, I might look up your KD and see, like it's somewhat of something. Like of course I'm gonna choose someone who's a little bit higher KD just because I don't know you. But that's literally about it. It's like a resume basically, you know.
Right.
But it doesn't mean everything. But of course, if there's two people and I don't know either one of them, I'm probably gonna choose the person with higher KD. But that's literally the only situation where it might mean something.
See, I think KD is too easily farmed. It really is.
Here's like the best example that I've been using since
I don't think
Destiny
anybody
1.
really goes out of their way to farm it.
Here's the example from D1. Here's an example from D1 I've been using for like multiple years now that totally obliterates the idea behind KD. So we're playing Trials of Osiris, right? I get a revive that ends up in my death, but the guy who got revived ends up getting the kill on the opponent to finish and win a round. So the outcome was a +1. My KD reflects a -1. Too many players look at what their, and it makes sense. It's your stats. Like you want to make sure you're playing well. I get it, but it doesn't. That doesn't mean shit. It really does. Unless you're like literally throwing with the 0.2, or you're only getting 1 or 2 kills maybe like in a game. Like it really does not matter what your KD is, because like I said, that example right there puts me at a negative KD, but our team's winning the game. Our team is getting a better chance to go to the lighthouse, or it's like that play is to go to the lighthouse. So
Yeah,
KD doesn't
absolutely.
KD doesn't mean shit.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And that makes me feel better because I am the W key warrior that gets in the middle, gets 2 picks, and then let my team clean up. Or get a pick, and then they're running scrambled. Because they're already weak for the other 2.
You have to, if you want to get good and you want to think about stuff almost like in a competitive standpoint, you have to like remove yourself, and you have to look at every outcome not as what happened to you, but what the net outcome was. Now, if you'd go down and it's a net negative, and the other team has 3 up and you only have 2 after that gunfight, they come out +1. That's not good. That's it's not what you want. But that needs to be what you're focusing on. So a lot of times those like winning situations that have you dead are, you like, you have to take attention, you have to take damage, you have to like, you need teammates that go down, you need that. So
yeah,
I'll play devil's advocate here because I love playing that. Like KD doesn't necessarily mean everything, but also it is, other than people who are purposely boosting theirs or purposely lowering theirs, it does have somewhat of an indicator of how you play overall. Your Hunter was giving an example of a game, right? Like, yeah, maybe one game you might do bad, which that's one game, that's fine, you guys still win. But if you're doing that, if you're going negative every single game to where your KD is a 0.8 after 10,000 games, that's saying something, right? It's saying something. Maybe you're not the greatest player, right? And it doesn't mean everything, right? And that's what I was saying earlier. When I, very, very rare occasion, if I were to ask somebody to, like, say, help me carry, for example, right? 2 people are there that I don't know anything about, I've never seen before. I'm going to choose a person with a higher KD.
Okay. I still say KD is farmable, and it is farmed.
Again, I said excluding the people who purposely farm it.
Like what Jimmy's saying, like, you can't be a 0.3 and like expect to be the all-star on your team that clutches a 1v3 to go flawless. Like, you may not be that guy. Like, I agree with that, and that's just math at the end of the day. It's all outcomes and probabilities. But hey, even then, I've seen that 0.5 maybe like at least one time make that kind of play. So yeah, I think it's a little in between, right? Like, KD does matter, but it's not the end all be all. You can't just look at that and say, oh, they had a great game. You really got to break it down a little bit further than that to know. And especially when you're talking about something like Halo, where you have objectives, all you're playing for is time and space. You're not really necessarily playing for the kills. Now, the kills open up the time and space, but the kills don't contribute anything to the points, right? Like, there's nothing that goes into the scoreboard because you got a kill in strongholds, let's say, right? So
yeah, exactly. Or oddball, same idea.
Exactly. Outside of Slayer, the kills are just a driver or a vehicle to the end goal, and I think a lot of people play competitively thinking that the kill is the end game, but the kill is just the start. The kill is the opening of a break. The kill opens up a potential push or a flank or a pinch. The kill is what just getting things started.
Most definitely.
They are super important, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. You can't.
You can't get any kills. You can't
exactly.
not get any kills.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna win. You
No,
gotta
for
be able
sure.
to keep them dead.
For sure.
Well, that depends. If we look at oddball,
how many times you see in Halo a team goes negative, but they won that oddball game? It happens
exactly.
And not all the time, because yeah, Jimmy, you're right. The team that has the more kills should win that game, but it doesn't always work out like that. And I'd say like a good 20% of the time, you can win an OBJ and get outslayed. So
that's because they played that terribly,
exactly. They weren't taking advantage of their.
If you have more kills, you should be winning. But if you
especially in oddball,
something wrong.
Especially in oddball, I mean, if you're picking 2 and then not pushing on the other 2, then they're still holding the ball. Timer's still going. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
You could slay out the entire game, get 60 kills, and lose.
And that's just statting at the end of the day. Usually you're making a conscious effort to not play around the objective, and you're just going and once again, just like you can farm KD and in Destiny, you can do that same thing in a mash of strongholds where everyone's dead, but you're not capping all three, right? Which is, you could hear that same thing for Control and Iron Banner or something like that. So, like I said, that's kind of the exciting part, is that there is so much crossover in first-person shooters, and a lot of the game sense and the takeaways that you have can be applied to other games. So, always important to keep in mind.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, gentlemen, let's do. I know it's, as far as my chat is concerned, this is the favorite part because they get a chance to play with and against you. So,
Ooh.
What I did not tell you guys is you will not be on the same team.
Oh, I expected that. I've
the way this
become
works,
accustomed to playing against Jimmy, despite the fact he's like my best friend. Isn't that weird?
It's
I like
great.
killing Hunter.
It's great.
I like it like that though. Yeah.
So the way this works is we take people in from chat and we put them on teams. I'm gonna let you guys choose. I don't know how many in your chat, Hunter, want to get in on this.
Okay.
But usually it's a 3v3 unless we have a really poppin' chat that a lot of people want to game. And we'll do 4v4. We have pretty light scrim rules. It's there are fusions allowed, but it's high impact frames only without high impact reserve. Obviously, last word, DMT, things like that are off the table because the whole point is to teach. So the way it works is we bring in the students. They get to play with you guys for a game. We flip captains. We run it back. Then we pull in the next round of people from chat. Tracking?
Sweet.
The rules are in my Discord under the Scrim Rules tab. It's a lot of the same base Scrim rules. You know, no duplicate type exotics, no well or bubble, just because it slows down the whole game mode itself. But beyond that, I will bring that up on the screen when we start it. But let's get into it. I'm looking forward to this part. This is going to be the fun part.
Let's do it.
It's going to be playing with and against you guys. And then I'll be bouncing back and forth between as well, so I can kind of hear the questions and the comms. Because that's the cool part. The comms are the big thing.
Okay, so you'll
on this.
spectate and
No.
like moderate, or you'll be in it, or
I'll be in it. I'm in it.
Okay.
I'm in to win it. I'm here to learn too. Yeah, I'm here to learn too. So I'll be on one of the captain's teams, and then when the captains flip, I'll be on the other captain's team. So I still get to hear the questions on two different sides of the spectrum, right?
Okay.
Tracking?
Do we play with open Discord? Like everyone will be in the same Discord, or will we swap Discords?
Well, I'll break it up into a comp 1, comp 2 type thing.
Gotcha.
And then that way comms aren't talking over each other, and you guys can get kind of a one-on-one, one-on-two type teaching scenario.
Gotcha. Sweet.
Tracking? Cool. So let's go be right back. If you guys want to use the restroom or anything like that, grab a drink of water, grab some advanced.
Cool.
Do something.
All right, we'll take 5. All right, sounds good. See you in a sec.
Yep.
I'm gonna make some tea.